many separate regions. I think this is one of the most inclusive PMGCs we've seen in a long time, with a lot of different regions finding their star power, finding those members that can operate on that world stage, which is so cool to me. And I think that a lot of that comes down to just the format this year as well, where we have had a much more evenly based tournament format, in which case teams can get in, where, you know, if you do very well in your league stage, you get a big bump up in performance and points over towards those finals in PMPL, which has meant that a lot of our teams that are consistently the best have had that big chance and that big advantage to get towards the finals. And if they don't make it through the finals, well, they weren't good at sprints and they wouldn't have done good here. So we have the best performing on this grand world stage, with new stars and the right world stars as well here for us. So everything has aligned for this best, I will go ahead and say it, the best PMGC we have ever had. And with this Northern Circle as well, it has been chaotic, particularly with that last Angle 2, and these teams, these players have had to deal with some very awkward scenarios and have dealt with them admirably as well.
We've seen a Northwestern Circle before, blank, it was HVVP's game, and they couldn't have it at a more important time as well. We've seen, well, not only in just this tournament, back in Group Green as well, there was this Hard Northern Circle. They won that as well. Hard Northern Circles on Miramar are an HVVP speciality. They need these points now. Can they get them when it matters most? I feel like this is a team that would be so disappointed not to see in the PMGC finals in Jakarta. It wouldn't feel quite right to not have them there. And they're currently in 9th place. If we shut it down now, Inco far ahead of them.
Well, I mean, this is what I'm saying, that there's so many teams that we would lose that you would be hesitant to see not go through. And the thing is in the top 5, all of these teams, I would 100% support them going through to the grand finals. I would also be 100% sad if we didn't see the likes of BTR, HVP, Damwon, Reject, VPE, Aegon, Nigma, Bacon Time, Besiktas. There are so many teams here.
You're just naming the whole table.
Honestly, all of them. I would be so sad to see all of them go out. So every time someone bumps themselves up into the finalist position towards that top 5, I'm happy. I'm happy for them. I'm also sad for whoever drops down. It's terrifying. In the meantime, you could be very happy at home because you will be rewarded with a PMGC special crate from 2022, and that releases tomorrow. It's an early Christmas gift, guys, don't you worry. And it doesn't end on Christmas Day either. It goes all the way through January 8th. So if you missed it, you were spending time with family, maybe you were trying to put that phone down at those meals and you were spending with all your friends and family as well. Perhaps you can pick your phone back up again once it rolls around 26th and realize that the 2022 special crate is still here.
Sat in the corner of the party with your phone, getting your PMGC crate going on, thinking they don't know I've got my PMGC crate. Just they're one step behind you. Don't worry, you'll be.
You are the
pretty
cool
happy
cat
with that.
in
Exactly.
that scenario.
You are the cool cat, indeed.
I don't think anyone wants to be called a cool cat these days, sadly.
You're a cool cat.
Oh, thanks, bro. I appreciate that. See, I like being called a cool cat. I'll take that one. In the meantime, a lot of these teams will have to be very cool indeed, because the pressure is on, massively so at this point in time. Some of these teams would like to get some more points. For Inco, I said, you know, they clock in at 9, they get the majority of their work done early, and then they relax the rest of the day. You know, they're efficient workers. You know, they're smart at working too. You don't put the effort in where you don't need to. But for Inco, that last game maybe wasn't the most productive power hour we have seen from Inco Gaming during this tournament. 63 points, 9 points found that last one. Usually for Inco, they're looking for a big game in terms of, you know, we're nigh on the 20 to 30 point mark, which really does see them safe. 9-point game, that's underneath the average that you would need to be hitting to make towards that top 5. Currently, they're right on the cusp of 63, and Gainlord is hesitant to let up right now, getting a lot of points every single game here on forward. Towards the start of last chance, things looked a little bit rickety for them, but the boat has been patched up. The raft looks a lot more safe and secure, and I think that Gamelord does have a chance now to get towards the grand finals.
Inco did send very central very early. It's what they do. They are now to the northwest of water treatment, pretty much slap bang in the center of the circle on this position. They'll be joining the likes of Gamelord in that middle set. Enigma Galaxy as well, crunching up on the south side of Crater Fields. Downward Gaming a little bit behind them on the queue. Alpha 7 pushing in from the northeastern side. Torre Hamada right now, currently on the east cut of the circle. And will be pushing in from that eastern edge. A lot of teams looking to start to move in, especially teams on the southeast. DRS chief amongst them, Puerto Paraíso, currently still being looted up by them.
It's a bit of a long run for them to get towards the circle itself. Interesting stats towards the beginning of the day was the amount of smoke usage that we saw. IHC absolutely being dominant in terms of that position with 90 smokes thrown over the course of yesterday, which is a lot going through there, which is nice to see. I think that when you look at that kind of number, it's a bit terrifying to some of these teams. And that's 16 per game on average, which is nice. You know, you always want to see that kind of number coming through.
Damwon making it to a compound underneath Game Lord. Again, very, very central, very early. 6 minutes into the game on Miramar as well to get to a central position. That's really quite snappy. It means you would have left your looting location in that 5th minute. And if you dropped out late as well, I mean, you're going to be fairly minimally looted. So a lot of teams getting out of the way. But look at that, level 3 helmet, level 2 vest, level 2 backpack. Pretty decent on those meds as well. Game Lord seem like they've managed to find a good spot.
Absolutely. HVP, on the other hand, up towards La Cobreria, decided not to head down towards Crater Fields as of yet. With this being further out towards that eastern side, I think that for HVP, it's more of a priority to them right now to be picking up loot in the early game towards that first 7 minutes, get themselves nice and geared, rather than trying to take up that ridge side, which requires a lot of time and resources to be put into that. You need to be early up that side too. So I think for HVP, this is not a bad idea to be picking up loot now, understanding this could be a very hard eastern shift on this next circle. In which case that ridge side doesn't become very valuable anymore to you whatsoever, because you have to come down off it. Let's remember that. If it's not definite on that position, when you are leaving that spot, you know, you're having to grab vehicles and send off the top side, more likely teams around this area will be spotting you and taking shots. And I think even going further beyond that point, yesterday and throughout Group Green, this is a position that HVP found so many points from. I think everyone's aware that this is happening now and will be hesitant not to be looking up towards the skies, towards those eagle perches that HVP have been taking up so often. So changing up the pace, changing up the game is essential for HVP.
One of the changes that they've made is actually Tixie's position is a lot further west currently than it usually is. Playing on the west crater fields. Normally he's playing on the east or at most to the west side of, like the middle of the 2 craters, right, in those ridge lines. Maybe that's something that they've learned from yesterday's games against Bacon Time pushing in on the back. Bacon Time won't be filling in that area right now, but IHC might. Besiktas up and into a scrap with LGD as we tune back on in to the east side of the circle near Cruz de Valle. Besiktas looking to disengage. LGD not going to lose a player, but Besiktas again losing a spot that early on into the game is not ideal. A tumble on 2 players, but Changxin not able to capitalize. The bullet's not quite going to fill the mag enough. MVM takes up the mantle, and there goes the vehicle. 2 knocks of Besiktas. They're going to be careening all the way down to 1 player alive.
Yeah, when you see that type of thing where it is still open ground and LGD is able to reposition very quickly into good spots, they are heavily accurate in these games. It's difficult to get away from the sightlines of them. They're rather, instead of trying to pop you out the vehicle, they'll just send bullets in. They saw the smoke and they realized that the thunder was going to come afterwards. Circle heads out towards that eastern side and HVP make the right call. VPE, on the other hand, very similar position to what they saw yesterday on that game where HVP won the Miramar. However, this is much more beneficial towards them. They have a very nice spot towards this circle to start to take shots out towards anyone on that western side. And now HVP, A7 forced to play those outer edges. It's so interesting to see this dynamic between A7 and HVP because they do tend to engage in combat quite early on. I think the only weird factor right now is that no one's going to be challenging A7. IHC, on the other hand, coming through La Cobreria right now, and HVP will have to be set up for something like that.
Potential for IHC to continue to move further in and try and swing over the north. They'll know that this is the HVVP zone, right? So now they're going to have their wits about them. Reject up and into the fight with Aegon XI8, playing on the south chunk of the central area here. IQ opens up with a knock onto Duello. Reject now active with 3. IQ cooking a nade. Spots Reiji around the corner. Repositions away from the nade. Doesn't take any damage for it. A Molotov from Reiji to slow that corner down. Looking for the res. They need to hold off on the other side of the building, but Vampire over the top of the hill have got these third-party sightlines. It's going to make it really hard for Reject to do anything other than fight forwards towards Aegon XI8. The res did come through, so they are back to full 4, but they'll need some healing done if they want to have a chance.
So they have medkits as well. This is only 70%, and I8 looking a little bit healthier right now. Nades are now pulled out for Reject, looking to send them over towards that compound that I8 moved themselves into, towards that warehouse side. A lot of open space in there, so the nades can tumble and drop over towards just the very beneath of your feet. So gotta be careful for I8 going forward. I think that they started off that fight strong and now can kind of slow it down just a little bit, wait it out, try and get those stims on board and go again when they feel the time is right. But at the moment where they are, very central, this is happy days for them. Inco currently on a 2-2 split at the moment. They were central. Now they're trying to hold out 2 zones. Could be dangerous for them with teams maybe wanting to come down towards that area. 8-7 on the other hand up towards water treatment. Very high ground already achieved on their side. Got Mafioso up towards that northern side, watching the crossing on the road, making sure that no one's coming down there. And they have good sight lines down towards DRS too, so they'll have to be very worried coming to this one. Hard shift down towards the south side. This is going to put Hacienda del Patron back in the action, and a vast majority of the circle now a little bit unplayable with that fielded area over towards the east that currently LGD are holding it.
All right, let's see what these teams on the north side have got. A little bit of a bitter test for them. Bacon time. Desperately in need of performance. 23 points, a poor game last game as well. Currently 40 points whole behind that 5th place bubble. 5 matches to make up that gap. I think after probably, I would say, moving into the last 3 games, we'll be able to start discounting teams at the bottom of the tables, but for now it is still possible for anyone to make it in. Vampire have got a pretty strong couple of buildings here to hold out the teams on the northwest.
Yeah, it is really nice to work from. I mean, there's a lot of open ground, and some of this area is held off, made sure it's free and clear just purely by the terrain they're currently holding in. Game Lord, nice and on high at the moment, but outside the circle, will have to move in. Currently just trying to hold out teams like Damwon, as well as IHC. In the meantime, HVP moved down to a compound just on the north side of the circle, where this road slits through the map.
Shots coming through, trades off. Vavian first to fall, but it is back and forth. LGD lose 2. A blow dealt to the Korean squad, but it is given back twofold, and Forest peeks out. Lovely little spray there onto Suki. Last player for LGD going on into the fight, looking for a knock, and we'll be able to find it. YZ as well. Last time survivor on the previous map, looking for more here as well, and he takes down all of Damwon. LGD ruined the chances for Korean squads. It is unfortunate. They'll be moving forwards with just the 1 player. 5 eliminations racked on up, and that is disaster for Damwon.
Game Lord just get decimated by AHC. You just move in as a 4-man squad, and Game Lord cannot hold back the tide that is IHC as they wash over them, and will leave that compound clean of any Game Lord players remaining. Titans down towards the southeast, playing on the high ground, looking down towards the eastern side. Very interesting end towards this Miramar, honestly. With Hacienda del Patron still in, awkward terrain down towards that south side. BTR holding there currently. I think for BTR right now, things do get a little bit scary. You need to put some points on the board to get them back into a position where they can leapfrog up into that top 5. I think they've been given a lot of chances where they could get those chicken dinners, being some good spots, but unable with the players they currently have to bring that firepower to the table.
Scarce reload, Enigma Galaxy. I think that was a tire spin out there for Ralph. Shots from Godless down the hill. A pivotal off angle coming through from IHC to slow down this aggression. Enigma Galaxy for sure would have taken them down if Godless had moved with this rotation from the rest of the squad, but over the top they go. They want the challenge, the fight, but it's bad because Lords launched an aid over their way. Oh, goodness me. 2 players down for Enigma Galaxy. Hamodi gets drawn short. Ralph as well, knocked on this approach. Godless, so important for IHC. He needs to stay alive in the spot to allow them the chance here. Icy, low HP, nade over the top, going to continue to come through from Lord. Nades find 2 from Enigma Galaxy. Icy and Alex doing a lot of work there, but a Molotov actually burning Alex away. That might tick him. Can he get the first aid off? Yep, the fire will go out as well. So first aid necessary. Over the back, there's Vampire as well. Ready and waiting for third party. There's Freak spots it.
Goodness me, Freak, very important there from the sidelines, but Meku coming in with HVP, looking to finish up this fight on the third party, but gets turned away there. Godless tries to get out of dodge in the UAZ, very low.
No.
Freak also finishing off Meku from the sidelines. This is not the way they wanted it to go. This could have been a perfect opportunity for that third party, but losing a member on the process, not ideal. However, they had to punch their way into the circle somewhere, and this is probably the best place to do it on the top of the third party.
Do not expect that player out in the blue. Meku goes down to unfortunate circumstance there for HVVP. They'll be aware of it now. Freak still low, still ticking away. Zone 4, so the zone will start to out-heal the meds. And a nade over onto Alex from Tixie is good news. HVVP continue their bid for this hillside. Remember, this is the Northwestern Circle. This is the circles that HVVP should specialize in. Shots over their way, getting taken away. Lord dismounted as well. Heals come through, looking for Kitsune. As Tixie roams the hillside further. Freak disengages. He's moved on up and out of that blue zone position. The flush comes through. HVVP, 2 eliminations to show for it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good opportunity. Learning from that last game in the case of, look, if we need to punch in somewhere, we need that battering ram to do it. And we cannot have 2 players behind us watching out in towards that circle, towards the zone. So they wait until it encloses just a little bit more before sending outwards. I think that you don't expect Freak out in the blue, like you say, in which case they do lose a player in that process, which is absolutely fine in my opinion. But now at least they have a position to move in towards the circle. Yes, Aegon and Reject are in front of them. But there's definite possibility to pick up a position that Freak's currently playing in over on that western side. And it's better than nothing.
It's behind that big ridge line as well to the west of Aegon XIA. You can see that's exactly where they'll go. It's fully covered, and they can play on the other side of the circle. Ghost, if Tixie had gone down there, that would have been disaster. So definitely necessary for that one. A nade over the top. Not going to land in the building. Will have spotted the arc, and Tixie going a little bit closer to it. But Matic somehow lands that nade across the road. Nikke Galaxy take the tumble. HVVP up to 3 eliminations now. They can control this side, but Godless from IHC is still there. Is still in the shack that proved so dangerous for Nikke Galaxy.
And when you hear that third party and you don't see an instant flush on the second, that you should know that there's at least one other player hovering around this area. But for HVP, again, this is a solved scenario right now where they're on that western side. They don't have too much to worry about. I think for Alpha 7, this is going to be a very difficult push down from that northeast edge unless they get a circle shift up towards them, which they do. It's a lot easier now for their side. But HVP have to continue onwards. Their march is made a little bit more difficult by the murky swamps of that I-8 position, as well as Reject in front of them. It's going to be difficult to get through there, and it might just be a case of waiting it out. Matic knows the position of Godless, just waiting for him to peek up for just a little bit. He has to move out of this position. So for HVP, should be another secure elimination unless the players from I-8 can pick this up away from them.
Godless might try and take a challenge, maybe just look for a cheeky little knock. Smoke is there. But yeah, you've got to imagine this draws to a close fairly soon. HVVP can swing down to the south side of the ridgeline, but then they're directly challenging Bigatron's sightlines coming on through from that southwest side of the circle. Bigatron been fairly quiet for them at the moment. They have been playing near the urban environment, near those buildings, and it's very unlikely that teams are going to be rotating in behind them. They can just chill out for a minute, but they will need to figure out where to go from here.
It is so difficult now to get past this position. Looking for Godless, an ideal scenario, pick up that elimination and maybe think where to move next. I mean, crashing down towards I-8 spot, not the greatest of ideas. We're heading further down towards the south. There is warehouses down there. Finally, he goes down to Inko. A very long distance shot.
Inko, by the way,
spot where that is.
That early rotation from Inko still very much paying off. It's working out yet again. Team in 5th place right now. I mean, it certainly is doing wonders for their table standings, Blank.
Yeah, and they went for a 2-2 split at the beginning as well. I mean, they lost a player, able to get the res up, but they secured 2 positions around the map. VPE tried to pick up the other, in which case they immediately regrouped towards that northern side. So they're securing positions within the map at the moment. Yes, it's not the most central position, but it is somewhere to play from. You have teams like DRS, Titans, BTR, all with difficult decisions ahead of them trying to move downwards. I do respect the hell out of A7's current predicament because they're up towards this northeast side. They've already sent 2 players up playing as front men for them, trying to allow the rest of A7 to get through. They send up in the vehicle, and slowly but surely, they have just pulled each other towards this ridge side under the cover of each player. So sending up one towards the ridge side in Carrillo, getting Mythic up there next, and then allowing the rest of the team to move to them with the cover of those 2 players in that position. So a very, very slow, tactical, but successful push coming through from A7.
It's likely, though, with this ridgeline right in front of them, giving them the majority of their cover right now, they're going to have to fight Vampire or choose to go for Inko instead. So it is a squad fight in their very near future, Blank. It could be very, very tricky. Aegon, Exayet, and Reject have been sharing this compound as well on the western side for a long, long time.
I mean, they both just realized that this is a strong spot, and it would be unideal at this point in time with the amount of low ground and flat grounds around them to go for a fight. Very easy third party on the cards for them. DRS trying to pick up that position behind the guys from A7. Rules gets there, will be dispatched.
Unsure about that rotation. They knew Alpha 7 were up on that cliffside, and it was a completely bare knuckle push. Just going straight over towards it. Luckily, they do get knocks back over their way, but DRS have lost 2 in the process. 2 of their players going down. Leaves only Gianti on the reses. Delta still on this hillside. And only the one that is really resable in this scenario, Alpha 7. Fortunately, losing Mafioso, so they are going to be nerfed down to 3. Rules falls, and they pick up a point for it, but you don't want to be losing players when that squad fight is so close on the doorstep.
Bacon time, now an opportunity to pick up some big points here. Very central spot, nice high ground to play around with. A lot of buildings to cover, to hold on to, but also a lot of little bits of cover that they can hold on the sides from. And I think that's the major thing that you have to concern yourself with here on Bacon time side, is that there's hills going up this position. It's hard to push onto it without vehicles, which will really expose a lot of players coming up that way, in which case Bacon Times can kind of isolate and consolidate their forces onto one spot. DRS moves up, and A7 so far taking a lot of damage from them despite getting the initial knock over their side.
DRS have had them on broadside with very little cover for a long, long time, and now Alpha 7 are feeling that punishment, that pressure pushing on in. Revo takes the challenge, hits the drop shot for 1. Carrillo wants to try and keep the squad alive as it's only now him and Revo standing, but only the 1 for DRS as well. Gianti falls back, regroups with a nade coming over the top. That's a Molotov to slow things down, and a nade set back their way. I think that's coming in from Inko across the way, or even Vampire just over that ridgeline. The res gets off for Gianti. Revo stays alive as well. Now can Carrillo find what he's looking for? Can he get that knock? Because they're all grouped up. Vampire as well could find it if they launch the nade in the right direction. Vampire just slowing this fight down, making it so hard, lines them up, hits the deck, cannot stay exposed for too long, and it's Inko to take shots over towards DRS as well. Look at the fire coming in over the heads of Alpha 7, suppressing DRS, and there's the nade they were looking for. Revo takes down DRS, now they can turn their attention to Inko.
The second place team going head-to-head with A7 at the moment does get dispatched. A really good regroup, and this is where now Bacon Time have to consolidate. And the hill that I was talking about that Titans have to push up towards, they're one of the 4-man teams in the lobby. This is a push they can make. It's a little bit difficult, but they are held short here. Sending smokes up towards that top side as well as nades to clear out the positions close by. In the meantime, HVP taking shots down towards BTR, trying to close out this rotation down towards the southwest and open up a spot for them to move in. 1 knock found at the moment, and BTR in dire straits at the moment with no real space to move through.
HVVP just about using every single inch of that ridgeline that they've been given. They know where BTR now, but Matic's moving slowly, speeds up a little bit as soon as those bullets start to land. Zuxi traded off as Tixie's on the ball. Liquid looking for answering shots, but Tixie does get knocked in the process. They cannot afford to lose another player here if they want to have a big game. Blank. Tixie will need to be rezzed. Kitsune right nearby, but Tixie caught out. The smoke covering off the answering spray from Matic to keep their heads down. And Bigatron not going to fall just yet. Oh, just about. Going to survive behind that. The vehicle does go up, but the reses are starting to come through for Bigatron. They're keeping themselves alive. And the circle moves away. They'll have to go further. And in 40 seconds, that will shrink.
very difficult push here for Bigatron. The major thing that's keeping them in this one is having 4 players alive. They've got a lot of squad members to really take these angles off of them. Matic, though, hitting some nasty shots. A great headshot down the way, really putting the hurt down towards Bigatron, and they're hesitating. A foot is exposed, and Matic tries to take some more shots, eking either way and which, but that will be them over.
Finally, bringing a third knock into the mix works out for the Matic, able to pick those final shots, spots Misery. M249 to try and just suppress that ridgeline. HVVP, they're going to have to move first, probably, out of the teams to their northern side after they've dealt with Bigatron.
Still have cover to work with, though, moving off towards that east. 10 teams remaining. Genfoster steps up for a second, but instantly answered by the guys from HVVP. Damage sent over towards Zuxi in the back, and realistically, this team coming through very strong with the mini 14s with DMRs. It's a very individual and unique playstyle coming through from them. Zuxi goes down. HV up to 5 eliminations so far. Make that 6. As Matic actually takes down players coming through from Aegon IA, in fact.
Very, very nice. Aegon XI8 trying to third party onto this engagement, and they're being turned away at the door. 10 eliminations for HVVP. What the hell just happened? Did they wipe out Aegon XI8? I think they did. They didn't even take a knock over their way either. Now Reject have taken that opportunity to leave, to move forwards. HVVP crunching on in. Everybody's popping off now. Bacon time, 2 players down. Right in that central position, high ground compound, very, very valuable, and Titans have the numbers advantage. Vampire rolling on up in the northern side, and look at the teams that are starting to fall. Blank, the teams going down, and the teams above HVVP. 12 eliminations on the game right now, and Squash, last player standing for Inco to remove potentially another player from the teams above them. Titan from the south side, their only real competition here now. And what a bloodbath on this northern side. Finally, HVVP turn up the heat. They make it work, and they're turning their attention to Reject. 13 eliminations, Vampire looking across the ridge, Inco down, and yet more teams fall ahead of them.
This is a cataclysmic performance coming through from HVVP as they just ruin a lot of these other squads' chances. They have that position. I8 crashed directly on top of them. Remember, they had 4 players, and HVVP send them packing. And now they have great sightlines over to everyone in this area of the map who are all squashed into a tiny space, have to fight off against one another. Sure, there's really not much cover whatsoever for the guys from HVP, but they're making this happen. We'll have got a nice little bit of a resupply on Aegon I8 before they had to move forward a little bit more. These DMRs, the M4s, working out very well for HVP on these long-range fights, these long-range engagements where some of these people in the lobby, they're prioritizing having the DBSs, having the UMPs over the DMRs themselves, but a few nasty little headshots coming through from the guys from Matic as well as Kitsune. Disgusting stuff.
Oh, Titan, they're going to have to leave this position though. HVVP need to time this perfectly. Puncher just hits the branches. They're getting cover from it. Reject looks for the spray to light it up, and Matic goes down. Vampire are taking their turn as well at the batting post, but with 13 eliminations, if they can just survive long enough, they have done so much to put a dent in that gap, and the teams ahead of them falling like flies. Inco already down, takes C, laid low, and now just one player. The IGL Kitsune for HVVP stays alive. I think he might just be in the next circle. Which teams can survive the oncoming onslaught?
Realistically, HVP should have gone down 10 minutes ago. It was such a difficult push for them. They have hardly anything to work with. The fact that they've got this far with this amount of eliminations is absolutely gargantuan for their side, up towards 6th place now. But like you say, they just need to survive a little bit longer. Besiktas at a single player, Reject down to 2. There is a high chance that both these teams go out fairly soon, with VPE understanding they have to move out this way too. And we're on knife zone, and this will just pull further in.
Bacon Time suffering. They need a big game here. Blank, Vampire, Bacon Time, 2 teams that you would have expected to be in those top 5 at the start of the last chance phase. But right now, at death's door on their tournament, 5 eliminations for Vampire, 4 players alive. It's good for them, but Bacon Time suffering a little bit heavily as Titan roll on up into the door. HVVP eliminated, 6th place, 13 eliminations. It's a whole load of points for them. They'll be happy with that. And Titan roll on through. It's breakfast as Bacon Time chowed down on by Titans. Only the two players active. Orbicile is there, but they are just going to get torn through. Titan move on in. 3 players alive for Titan, but 4 for Vampire, and they're looking to turn it up. Titan getting cut out as well. Piece is low for Besiktas, but they make it into top 3 as Reject now with a duo. Vampire with 4. They've been holding behind this ridgeline for so long, but now they're going to move on out. They execute on their final strategy, their end game, and 11 eliminations so far, racking it on up. And Peace, the last player to stand in their way, will be bringing in that 12th point for them, and a chicken dinner for Vampire. You can see the elation in this squad from the bottom of the tables. A necessary time to stand up.
100%. I mean, like, there is only so long that you could stumble before you either fall down or find your footing. And VPE have found it here on that game of Miramar. 4 players still alive. This is much more the standard type of playstyle we've seen from VPE, getting back in towards the mix. Schweppes putting up a big performance, which has not happened in a little while, whereas we kind of expect it from this guy being one of the best players on the squad. I am pleased with that result coming from VPE. They took that central position, and you know what's really interesting about it is the fact that HVP, if it moves over towards that northwestern side, they hold on that ridge, and they dominate from that ridge. But we saw VPE get a very good result from the exact same position they took yesterday. It moved further towards the east, and VPE are able to translate from that spot. So very well done to Vampire there. Most players getting a very even result of damage and eliminations and knocks. So a great game overall for VPE. But is it enough at this point?
When the night is darkest, the Vampires come out to play, and they are here with a big chicken dinner to come through for the squad. As we've been saying time and time again, so necessary. HVVP, 13 eliminations on the game. A lot of teams ahead of them going down early, pushing up for that 5th place bubble, pushing up to be in that PMGC finals, because Blank, they needed this for them to be able to stay alive in this tournament. You expect them to be going there. They expect it of themselves. And both of those 2 rosters putting in the shift.
See what that win meant to Vampire Esports here, getting them back in the running for top 5 to potentially keep that door open to get into the PMGC Grand Finals. 27 points here picked up from the team. A fantastic performance, but honestly, there was, like we were saying before, Max, when we were watching the match, there was just so much happening. HVVP as well, having a slaughter in that last match in the matter of about 7 seconds.
I mean, we were talking about it during that game, Jason, that for Vampire Esport, if they want to be able to catch up, they need a chicken dinner. It was like, no, at least 10 eliminations. They a little bit outdo that, 27 points on the game. And this just gives them, I think, a glimmer of hope they desperately needed, because things were looking so grim for them before this match. But those mini 14 fights, Samson, were just amazing from Flukev and Stone. Like, these guys are on point, and of course, Schweppes being Schweppes, he's just always going to pop off.
Yeah, it wasn't just that, by the way. It was also the fact that a lot of the teams in the middle of the leaderboard are also getting eliminated. Teams from the bottom are performing, so now it's going to be very, very close. But Matic and what he did to IA, what he did to Reject, what he did to this entire lobby this game, even holding on to or closing on BTR, not allowing them to move for such a long time. So much damage from him, so many LMs. Very great game for HVVP. But if I'm being honest, this is the second time that we're seeing them on Miramar get gifted the first, second kind of zone. A lot of pressure is alleviated from their shoulders. So I want to see them perform, like you mentioned before, Maxman. I want to see them perform the same way Inco would if they weren't gifted the zone. Where is that performance from HVVP?
I do have to agree, but in general, I think that this is them willing to be just a little bit quicker on their rotations, even in zones where they're very familiar with, and I think that that's just a great change to what we saw from them yesterday. And man, they eliminated, there you go, that's the word, 2 teams in a matter of like 10 seconds. Like, they just flipped a switch in that game and just went super aggressive. So good from HVP. We'll see if they can keep it up in the next matches.
Well, you know what, Maxman? I'm going to flip the switch here and send us to a quick break while we get things ready to go for our third match of the day. Welcome back, everyone. As again, we finished off our second match of the day, but we still have 4 to come, but only 4 matches left to go, which that means the top 5 teams at the end of the day will be going through into the PMGC Grand Finals, where other teams are already waiting to participate over in Jakarta in January. But before we can even hop into our third match, which of course will be on SanHok, I want to remind you guys once again about Sony Xperia 1.4 Xperia stream, which was made in collaboration with professional esports players. You can get 90 Hz in PUBG Mobile. Xperia Stream's total cooling system and multiple ports for intensive gaming and streaming. I learned yesterday not to throw that over to Max and Sandstorm because they don't remember the last word for some reason, but one thing they do remember is how awesome Prime Gaming is, because you can get exclusive in-game free PUBG Mobile items as well as additional content beyond that. And even with the Prime benefits, it's a win-win-win situation. Just no chicken dinner involved.
Like I don't know how that works, but I thought it came with it, with the deal, but that's fine. I don't know.
Let's take a look at our overalls. Let's see where we're currently standing here. Alpha 7 going to be in first place at 103 points. And we have seen Titan move up to third, but there hasn't been a shift at the moment in our top 5. However, HVVP, Vampire Esports, Game Lord, they're coming. Problem was Game Lord got 0 points in the last game.
Yeah. Oh lord, they're coming. It's Vampire Esports. Vampire started off the day in 15th position right now, Sandstorm. Now in 7th position, just at the door of making it potentially in that top 5 position. One other just even average game would be enough, but we know the competition towards the top is just so tough right now. All the teams are taking down one another. It's a tough position to be in, but at the bottom, it's looking a bit grim for the teams right now.
It is looking grim at the very bottom for Breakin, Egon IA, and for Nigma Galaxy. But for Damwon Kia, it is about 15 points for them. Where realistically, we're looking at LGD, even Besiktas, 56 points, 10-point difference from them, and 5th place. But realistically, 5th and 6th place, I think, are the one, or 5th and 4th place are the ones that are going to be open to, let's say, competition or contest right now for the top 5 spots. Alpha, DRS, I'm not sure anyone's going to be able to take their spots away with only 4 games left to go. And the way that Alpha's been looking and the way DRS has been playing, very, very passive early on, just making sure they survive into the later stages of the game. It's going to be very interesting to see these last games for sure.
Yeah, you have to imagine that if you're the likes of one of those 2 teams, you just don't even care about playing super aggressive. You don't care about winning matches. All you care about is just surviving to the late game, right? Try to get as many points built up just from placements alone. And ideally, no one should be catching you. But let's see your 2 teams to watch here and see if any of those teams could potentially catch up into our top 5. HVP, Vampire, Alpha 7, Maxman. A little bit of a cop-out answer, but you know what? I gotta respect it. It's fair.
I feel like if I pick any team outside the top 5 right now, I'm just going to bring bad luck to them right now. I've done it for BTR. I've done it for Game Lord. Right, mate, it's got to end right now, so I'm just I'm going for the good
HVP
top
and
answers.
VP aren't top 5 though.
Sorry, the teams are like not in the race right now.
Okay. That
So
makes
yeah,
sense.
we're close to top 5, yeah.
Looking over towards you though, Sandstorm. Again, 2 teams in top 5 at the moment, and HVVP. Talk me through it.
HVVP, because I want to see them perform again without the zone giving them a huge advantage at the very beginning, and especially when we're looking towards SanHok, these guys need to perform a little bit better. And when I'm looking towards the rest of the teams, Titan, just consistency is there for them towards the end of day 1 and slowly getting themselves in those top 4, top 5 positions multiple times. So pretty good for Titan. And DRS, Keep up that passive play in the early stages of the game. Get yourself as a nice, cozy position towards the end, and you should be perfectly fine and ready for the grand finals.
Well, I have read the script here, have learned that HVP will get a Northwestern Island zone. Let's see if it's going to work out for him, though, as we head over to our commentators to kick off the third match of the day.
Going into match number 3 with Sanhok at the door. After this game, Blank, I'm thinking that we're going to be starting to see some teams really kind of cut off from the top of the tables, from that bubble position. Blank won't have been able to hear me as I was saying that, but you guys on stream will have been able to hear you, hear what I was talking about. After this game, Blank, I was saying that we're going to be starting to see teams cut off from the top 5 bubble spots.
That is correct, John. Thank you for consolidating that into a nice, concise point for me to understand and then reply to, which I will do right now.
Oh,
we are,
good.
yes, 100% going to be seeing some of these teams being cut off towards the bottom side. I think for Nikke Galaxy, i8, Bacon Time, if they do not have a good performance here that sits around about 50 points, it's going to be very difficult over the next 3 matches at the end of the day to actually hit up towards that top side of lobby. Certainly possible with this type of a sprint format, and particularly with the way that the lobby currently is quite evenly split all the way down to the bottom. There's still a chance. I think Inco right now is that team that everyone's gunning up towards. Right now, HVP is currently tied with them at 66 points. That tiebreaker currently being the placement points they were able to accrue on Inco's side. 38 eliminations, but only 28 rank points there for HVP as opposed to 32 on Inco. They do need a little bit more. However, Inco so far have been struggling to find that golden kind of opportunity they're able to find in the past couple of days where they were getting those big points, getting those big numbers put up.
HVVP currently 3rd highest eliminations in the lobby. 44 for Alpha 7 and IHC on 41. So they have definitely had an impact, I think it's safe to say. See if they can do so again. But Inco, that central style, working out for their placement points, which after all is that tiebreaker position as we come close to our first circle coming through.
Wait for that one to hit. Obviously, Inco were on board with them right now, needing to put up a good performance at the moment in 5th place, right on the edge of being knocked out here. VPE, things looked very dire for them. I think they were down towards that 15th place position at the start of the day, now up towards 7th at the moment, which is incredible to see for them. 62 points, looking to get up towards the top 5. Going to be hard to dismount DRS, but with Alpha 7 taking 103 points, putting that buffer between them and 2nd place quite high, first team to reach triple digits here in the last chance. You know, there is a lot of opportunity for other teams to leapfrog underneath some of these guys like Titans, IHC, Inco, DRS, who have yet to find those big games consistent like we're seeing from A7 at the moment.
And if you're one of the teams that is looking to chase that bubble, you're very happy to see Alpha 7 earning all of those points, right? You're looking for them to take those points away from the other top contenders, unless all of those other guys are finishing in 4th, 5th, 3rd places, that sort of area at the same time. You're happy that Alpha 7 are taking a big chunk away from you because it's unlikely that you're going to get up to that first position or challenge for it, but you just want to have that bubble reduced as low as possible so that when you have a pop-off game, like your HVVP, like your Vampire Esports, you have managed to put yourself back in the running.
Soka heads up towards the northwest side. VPE, HVP, not happy yet though. I think with this kind of circle, we've seen a lot of times it head over towards that eastern side, making that crossing from the northwest infinitely more difficult. I think with the way that we see this lineup from Besiktas, A7, Reject down towards down 1, which almost makes this semicircle that encloses around the northwest island, is so hard for VP and HVP to leave that island without having to take some very early fights in this game. And we know with the way that we've extended how long these games actually last for. I mean, you used to see Sandhawks finish around 21 minutes sometimes in very hectic scenarios. Now we're usually looking at that 26-minute mark where the game comes to a close. So very interesting stuff in terms of the amount of time that you have to spend getting through a lot of these engagements. And it's no longer a case of you get through that one engagement and then you can just kind of wait out towards the end of the game. Those 5 minutes may seem like a very short amount of time, but when you get to those final circles, 5 minutes can be the difference between a 10th place and a 2nd place.
Very early move from Reject up to get that crossing. 3 players already all the way over there. Duello still as a backstop, but this is a central lobby, and slap bang in the center is on that northwestern island. Game Lord rotating around the northern side with a boat, likely to make landfall to the west point, just west of Hartin, on the north side of that island. They're giving the rest of it a very wide berth, though. You can see that they're not going to take any sort of chances whatsoever. In the case Besiktas are holding on that northern side, but they are moving down south towards that bridge. Vampire looking to try and control that crossing, but they've allowed Reject in on the south side into one of the strong compounds on the northwestern island underneath those cliffs that HVVP will be looking to exert control over.
Yeah, getting here early is a little bit of a Hail Mary, honestly. It's one of those positions that gives you a lot of comfortability. And Inco were looking for this as well, it seems. You know, hoping to sit out the majority of the game. And with Reject already being in that position, goodness me, now Inco's in a really tough spot because this entire macro decision, this entire push from them gets sent away, and they're left feeling a little bit questionable where they want to go next. That confusion starts to set in. Where do we head towards? Which positions can we take on the map that haven't already been taken? And I think this is where it gets very, very different for Inco, considering a lot of teams have made that analysis, watched the VODs from yesterday, done their homework, and realized that Inco were just finding good spots in the circle early on in the game, which could work out towards the end game, and then just sitting there. And more often than not, they're finding those spots. You can see that confusion really coming back to bite them because they are just circling, and there's no longer anywhere for them to go.
Dogs of War of HVVP smell the cordite on the breeze underneath them. They're looking for those sneaky little shots. You could see just peeking in and out. Matic wants to get any sort of information, probably more valuable at this stage than the eliminations, because HVVP already have a high expected value point scoring position. Have to see where the next circle does go, but at the moment it is very much in their favor. Game Lord made net landfall on the northwestern point of the island west of Hartin, and they are now land fallen. Duello finding Squash, and again, Reject exerting a lot of control for getting here very, very early.
Yeah, it's literally the Inco play, and it's funny to see it come back to bite them because you have this singular play where it's worked out so many times because other teams have not been going for this same rotate. As soon as another team takes up that position, Inco is just completely floundered by that. I genuinely don't think that they knew what to do after a team was in that position. They had no backup plan, to say the least, and hoping that that would just take them all the way. And this is the one thing that I was worried about, the one thing that I thought would cause problems in future for Inco, and it's certainly starting to rack up now as they're not finding those points. Again, 54 at the start of the day, able to get 12 points on the day after getting quite a lot of eliminations from that bankside position over on Erangel, but it's not really brought them up to speed with some of the other squads towards the top of the lobby, like Titans, who have made a really good run for it, trying to secure their place in that grand finals.
If you remember, Blank, we were talking about where the bubble is looking to be at the end of today, as Lord takes a tumble. We were looking at how many points were able to be earned in the survival stage, where they all played. Oh dear, we'll talk about that shift in a second. But where we're looking at that bubble being is on that 10-point average line. At the moment, a lot of teams are falling quite far beneath that at this stage. So we might have a reduced bubble at this point. But Blank, tell me about this shift, because it is quite dramatic.
It really is quite horrible. This is what I was talking about earlier, where, you know, HVP and VPE still worry for themselves when you see a shift like that. Zone 2 is always the hardest shift that we are going to see. So it could really go anywhere a lot of times within this circle. Heads hard up towards that northeastern side, which sits us on that bridge. Now, a lot of teams at the moment, again, prioritizing those central spots, have almost ruined themselves by taking these positions down towards the south side of the mountain. I think you're going to be struggling for a lot of them. Titans, on the other hand, who have yet to move, actually secure themselves a good spot within the lobby if they move in the next couple of minutes, purely because there's so much open space on this eastern side. It could be west, it could be east, but if you're on the western side, you're in a world of hurt anyway with the amount of teams already here.
The Inco duo sending as fast as they can towards the water, and trying to potentially play underneath that bridge. That worked out for them in the last game, so why not? They have managed to pull up on that west side of the bridge that connects the Northwest Island and the mainland.
So open, though, that crossing.
Yeah, it really is. I'm surprised they even got that far, to be fair, as a duo. But once again, Vampire play on the hill to the northeast side of the HVVP mountain. But this time around, HVVP move in nice and early to get a little bit of a foothold to give them a route in. Last time we saw them come into conflict was IHC take a fight with LGD, and actually Alex controlling the roll-up nut really beautifully there as a solo outpost for IHC. We'll be able to look for these flushes as well. Really, really good stuff. But when we've seen Vampire contest on that little mound to the northeast side of HVVP, we've seen them not move early enough, and HVVP have learnt that lesson.
Absolutely. I think getting up towards this position gives you a lot of high ground control. I think for HVP at the moment, you know, those elimination counts are really giving them the majority of the points that they need. And I think it's this point in time where this circle isn't always going to favor us, but what we can do is we can shift from this mental play style of, look, we have the circle itself, so let's just continue to sweep. We'll play that 2-2 position. When they don't get the circle like this, I think they just have to completely start thinking about, right, we have to go into full elimination mode and start bringing out the big guns and just taking as many shots as possible. Because if we can clear out teams, we're technically clearing out space. And I like that from HVP. IHC rolling up, pretty much completely destroying the rest of LGD, who were at 60 points and they were bringing it back. But after this unfortunate loss, going down in 16th place now, which happens more often than not for LGD, a very streaky team. Some games they look like the best team in the lobby and maybe even the best team out of PMGC. Then other games they look like this, where it just feels like they're not even part of the conversation, and that's a really difficult thing for me to analyze on the desk, for the actual desk to analyze over on their side, as well as for you guys at home, because it feels like if you want to cheer for LGD, sometimes you're cheering for an LGD that seems completely different from the norm. It's odd to see, and I think I'd like to see LGD bring it back into that position where they're performing similarly every single time. However, at this rate, I don't think they're getting towards the grand finals.
The circle again onto the bridge. Somehow, Blank, Inco are in a central position. Okay, it's just one of the facts of the universe that if there's a circle, it's very, very likely that Inco are right in that middle spot. But Nikke HOK move around the north side and scout out towards underneath that bridge. And actually, with Inco swimming across, trying to make it to the other side, that could be difficult. Vampire this time around, however, are going to control that approach. It didn't work out for their control over Inco, but Nikke HOK will feel the brunt of that pain. Ralph spotted, shot down, Schwepp picks up the flush.
HVP even got involved on that engagement as well, taking shots down that way. VPE, though, in a good spot at the moment. Like you said, though, oh, dear, he has the vehicle underneath. Try and keep these players off him. Keeps pulling out the nade. That is mean. That is really mean.
God, that is a
like
threatening presence.
Yeah, a little exclamation mark above his head. Alpha 7, up against IHC. So knock a piece. 2 4-man squads. So far, though, Godless getting knocked 2. That's them down to just 2 players. Continuing on that streak. 2 for 2. I would love to see this fight right now. I mean, it is all going off. I mean, IHC would really like to get some points, and purely taking out A7 out the way means that a lot of those points being ripped away from the top of the lobby, IHC could probably secure a little bit of a better position towards that top side of the top 5.
Bacon time with a strong position as well. Vampire had their turn. HVVP had their turn. It is Bacon Time's turn to step up from the group green heavy hitters. But IHC demolishing on this south side might ruin Alpha 7's chance. You don't want to let IHC be getting these points if you're chasing for that bubble either, because they are much more within reach than Alpha 7 are. So you do want to root for them. DRS rolling across the top of the bridge. Nobody else had this idea, Blank, but it seems like nobody else had a good idea either. Into the back of the pickup, and they'll be playing with the cover.
I like that a lot. It's like everyone's, we got to go underneath the bridge. And DRS is like, why don't we just use the bridge? But it was made for. Let's just go on top.
Maybe not all the way.
This makes no sense. In fact, everyone else in the lobby, completely illogical usage of the bridge, which is, this is a comfortable way across, let's swim. That's not how I see bridges in particular. However, Inco seems to find success off the back of that approach anyway. Alpha 7, though, with 2 players, actually taking down more from IHC. So once again, another 2 for 2. And holding on, another knock comes through on that side. That's VPE, Vampire getting involved.
They needed to be able to get up in there for the vault, but now there's 2 players down on the inside. Alpha 7 holding off against IHC. First knock is close, but there's 2 players still on the inside to handle. Carrillo gets the spray down, needs the weapon swap, a sliver of HP on the inside, just jittering around the corner. Nervous now, but the fancy feet win out the day. Falls back, doesn't go for the flushes, doesn't get greedy, and sticks the res. He knows that the last player from IHC will not be able to get this res off before he can.
Close.
So he'll be able to play on the 2 players. Carrillo stays alive, gets Revo back into the fight, repositions Godless around the side, a DBS, a nade around the corner, looks to just slow things down, or certainly give them a little bit of fear.
Oh my
and IHC
God.
fall. It's an off angle coming through from Aegon XI8, and Carrillo keeps Alpha 7 at the top of the table.
I do not believe what I've just seen. Alpha 7. That's an insane haul from them, but now I8 looking to get involved. But again, Revo, Carrillo, you cannot count either of these guys out. UZM spots the player crossing, nades going through the doorway, trying to keep Revo under pressure. This splits them up, might not be able to take that 2v1, the crossfire, so it will be the 1v4s, but a load of damage pouring through.
Another test for Alpha 7, this time Aegon XI8. Revo has the bulk of the health right now, and Carrillo is down. They've taken it in turns, and nades towards the back are going to make it even harder. Revo split from his teammate right now. And he looks for the challenge. First knock, taken down. Excellent start. Needs to find another. Looks for the spray. Crosses the doorway, and he falls down. Aegon XI8 proved to be just a little bit too much. You can't really blame them coming off the back of that fight. The circle shifted down south, so now Aegon XI8 with a brilliant compound. HVVP controlling the hillside on that western edge of it. Down 1 trying to challenge, but in the meantime, Game Lord and Besiktas trying to leave from H10.
Barlow up with the DBS. Son HP also laid bare there. Hits the deck. The helmet bouncing off the wood there. Makes the resounding sound of defeat on that side. BTR, similarly, Zuxi going up against 6. Misery's already down, but Titan's in a worse spot. But nades pouring over the top, and Jem Foster cannot handle the amount of firepower coming out from Titans.
2 players down. BTR trying to activate now with the
Liquid.
DBS. 1 and 2. 2 shots, 2 knocks. Liquid has to worry about his left flank though, because Teak is there. Sprayed down, and he will be able to find a knock over onto one of the forward players from Bigatron. There's a res going on in the backside, and Teak is pushing up. Zuxi wants to stick this one, knows that Teak might commit, but hang on a minute. He pushes over. Titan take down Bigatron, and Zuxi caught unawares there. You've got to wonder what was going through their mind. You take the challenge. You know Teak's pushing, but Titans stay alive on 2.
This is one of those speed plays. You either commit to one decision or
Oh,
the other.
no.
What is that? Out in the water with the loot crate. A small island with a compound down towards the southeast. Maybe Titans want to pick that up. I don't know how close anyone can get towards that position. Nenebete might be able to swim his way down. Remaining in this game for a long, long time for Inco, but I don't know if these placement points are going to cut it for them. Titans for Tixie and HVP looking to move up towards down 1's position. They got ahead of them nice and early, but nades still pouring through. Favian moves down, knows he has to get off this top side, considering this is no longer an ideal spot for either of these teams. Song waiting.
Favian leaves. Wants to take a dip. Maybe looking to go all the way across, but doesn't quite get into the deep water in time. Maybe he thought that it was a little bit deeper there, but there's quite a lot of shallows in this river. You have to be very careful when trying to move forwards on it. HVVP moving forwards towards down 1 now as the circle pushes them into this engagement. Sung close to the rock. Needs to hold off against at least one of these players. Kitsune swings out wide. HVVP cannot afford to lose a player at this stage. They need to keep it together now. Getting the damage in. Kitsune goes low on the wide, deep swing. Sung will be falling. Forest now, last player standing for down 1 as HVVP just about holding it together. Will be caught out, and now they can move further down, but Kitsune is bleeding out. Down 1 eliminated. The chase is on. HVVP, they're up in 5th now, Blank.
The fact that none of them actually went down is a huge shout for the performance going forward. Reject, though, still spotting up towards that way. Duello looking towards that position. I8, 6 eliminations so far, looking to take down Duello. That nade should do the trick. Takes him down. 7 eliminations for I8. Maku taking a huge amount of damage from VPE, who are watching them as they walk down this side. It's completely barren, open ground for them. And 9 eliminations for Vampires, looking to set themselves up towards that top side of the lobby already.
It felt like HVVP just played this a little bit too slowly, and now they're paying the price for it. 2 first aids as actually Fluke does go down and repositions Stoned, looking for that cross. Will have another first aid, but the drop down will take him down. Ravenclaw's there watching, and Matic will be the last player alive for HVVP. Has to just go for a shot. Try and pick up an elimination if you can. It would be great, but Schwepp, he escapes the first set of spray, but needs to go for the reload, and he's spotted by Ravenclaw. Unfortunate for HVVP to not pick that up, but Vampire going to be really slowed down by that. They'll lose a lot of scouting power, and they'll lose the potential to go closer to this. Bacon Time, by the way, still alive. They are swimming across now and getting off to the shoreline. There's Shirty, and because Vampire were losing players blank, that sightline was denied and allows them an opening.
Still not so bad for Vampire. They're realistically the only ones with a strong position here other than I8 who are looking to put up a big performance this game and set themselves up towards that 6th to 9th place bracket where there's a chance to get towards that top 5. They will need another big game to do it, but we've seen them do it before. UZM gets towards the coast. Stone's trying to take shots. 10 eliminations for Vampire. 4 players still on board, and already we said they're in the top 5 and they're looking to put up more points on this game, which might even see them up towards maybe even top 2 if the DRS go out soon.
Vampire taking shots over to Bacon Time, trying to stop their landfall, but there's always that foothold that they've got in already. Shirty, Orm style, they just want to stay alive at this stage. They cannot afford to go down this early in this one. 7 teams remaining. Going down at this point would pretty much cut them out, the top 5 entirely. Enigma Galaxy take the tumble. Vampire really striking out, not only for the top 5 blank, maybe looking to try and jump up to compete with Alpha 7 after this one.
Absolutely, this is what I'm talking about, is that with that amount of eliminations here on Sandhawk and so many more available eliminations for them, this could be a gigantic game for these lads.
Oh dear.
You can see these guys are just trying to get onto the edge of the rock, because I think in certain cases you can actually start punching. It's very unlikely you're able to hit it, but it's very dangerous being close to these players because there is a chance it happens. Everyone just chilling on this side, forced to take a breather, but they will have to move out from the side of this rock soon. Bacon Time would look to get close, but unlikely, as Aegon with 3 players now have to pick up as many eliminations as possible, deny them from VPE, but a great start from Vampire. They sink the fangs in.
Vampire need to push though. They are the ones outside of the zone right now as Aegon XA8 take the coastline. They're playing off some of the very little pieces of hard cover. There's quite a lot of trees which cut off a lot of angles and a lot of sight lines, and Vampire are going to use that. They're going to put these nades over the top as Fluke enters nade range. A lot of damage sent. Ghost taking the knock, and that's actually going to go over to Shirty. From that coast side, he did move up. Orb style on the forefront as well, able to take shots from behind this rock. He's not in the zone, sure, but he's going to play spoiler to all of this engagement. Bacon Time, 4 eliminations now on the game. Shirty moves out wide, wants the challenge. 5 eliminations on the game. Schwepp falls as well, and Shirty moves into position. Fluke behind the rock, cannot step out because IQ's there, and the blue zone's pushing Vampire in. AQ maybe going down to Shirty here as he moves into the next circle. Bacon Time start to go up on the coastline. IQ down, and Fluke now takes the challenge. Shirty's there, and the Mike Ruzi gets a good spray. Takes down the 4th position for Bacon Time as 3 teams remain. 6 eliminations, but Ormstyle's here as well, looking for Schwepp in the back line. Ice gets up into the fray, but gets knocked back immediately. Shirty is down and into position. Comes Gianti from DRS. A last stand for DRS towards those top 5 positions as he crawls on forwards. Vampire down to 1, DRS on 1, and Bacon Time looking for the res, but can they get shut down? No, the nade is not loosed. A 2-player potential, but Fluke in a 1v1 standoff.
Can maybe pick up his players, but unlikely to peek out too soon. Circle will move both these players in, and I think that Bacon Time have more time to play with here as Shirty gets back up on his feet. That is a great molly, will push them out to the side, but it's not quite enough. Doesn't do the damage, and there's a nade coming back their way. Another Molotov for Fluke gets sent, but the nade doesn't hit. That was so important.
You've got to hit that nade. Shirty behind the tree has the cover. 5 first aids will be able to heal. There's a nade in the pocket for Fluke. He needs to get a knock here. Noise is low. Healing off of the backline, but will be able to get it off. Peeks out wide. Shirty goes down. Fluke for a challenge and Vampire fall. It's bacon time. We said they needed it now, Blank, and they fire out from the water. They emerge victorious against Vampire, who are weaving their brutal thread through the cloth of fate. But this time around, it was not to be. Still, a big game for both of them.
Bacon time absolutely drenched coming out from this game, but the heat rises from them. You can see the steam pouring off the heads because that was a firecracker of a game coming through from them. The fact they were able to live out for so long and hear the shooting and take the opportunity to get to the coastal side, understand exactly where that hard cover was, that is very good knowledge of the game there coming through on Sandhawk, picking up that match. And VPE furious with that result. Those extra 3 points for the chicken dinner could have set them in a secure position towards the top. I am astounded by that game. It could not have been more difficult for a lot of these teams. HVP also, again, it's that slow play style, that careful play style that has rewarded them so much in the past, which is coming back to bite them on these absolutely hectic circles.
That hillside that they had to push off from is really one of their sticking points. On Sandhawk, they've died to it twice now on that very specific rotation. They just haven't been able to figure out how to play it, it seems, but they'll have to get a little bit further. What a way for Bacon Time to close things down as well, with a pretty healthy elimination count as well coming through. 31 points at the start of the game. They'll have a whole lot more than that now.
I really don't know how to start this segment here, gentlemen, because that was the wonkiest zone, the wonkiest finish out of Bacon Time, but it's a delicious finish nonetheless. 25 points for the team who desperately needed them. But besides the fact of them getting points they needed, what about Vampire Esports who get 25? Agon I8 who get 13, Titan who get another 12, and DRS get another 11 added to the board. Some big movers happening in this last match.
I think, Jason, it's fair to say that we're going to have some new teams potentially in the top 5. I mean, mainly looking at Vampire Esports, of course. They have a new potential top 5 contender right now. But, I mean, Bacon Time, really, Sandstorm. I would say if they did not get this game right here, I think that they would be 100% out. But this one does add a question mark, like, can they climb back up? It's going to be tough, but this maybe opens up a door for them to make it happen.
It does, yeah, and it's not just that. Again, we have to look at the teams in the middle of the pack and seeing how they're performing, but putting up Noise's stats up against Fluke. Fluke almost managed to do it towards the end there. I'm surprised that he didn't use the nade a little bit early on. He might have been able to just take out the last 2 members of Bacon before the revive even came through, but still very well played for Vampire to secure this amount of points in these games so far. We've seen them end the day 1 with 25 points. One whole day with 25 points, and now they get those in just the one game. So it is a sensational comeback from them, and they should definitely be in the top 5 now, but can they hold on? That is the question.
Yeah, I mean, there's still, 3 matches left to go today. The job's not done quite yet for all these teams. And honestly, it's just going to get more and more stressful as the matches do go on. But the best way to relax after having a stressful day or stressful matches is at the Pullman Kuala Lumpur Bangstar Hotel, where our world is your playground. And one thing as well to add into that, what about Prime Gaming? You get yourself some free in-game PUBG Mobile rewards, some premium content, not to mention all the rewards that Prime Gaming has as well. So that's that one way you can de-stress. But they can't do it just yet. They still have the final matches to come. But what I'm mostly curious about is when we get to there is those overall standings, because teams They have to have an idea of where they're currently in the rankings. They have to know how many points they need or can afford to lose. And right now, we have seen Vampire break through 4th place, moving out Inko out of top 5.
And it's so unfortunate too, because Inko had a good game plan. It was, we're just going to go play center, we're going to get in a good position. Unfortunately, the center was on Northwest Island, and you know what that means when you're on Northwest Island? HVVP. And they learned that on the hard way, unfortunately, that game. So yeah, Inko, a little bit of a tough game this time around. We'll see if they can adapt. But Vampire finally able to breach in this top 5 position. It is looking great, but that's the thing, Sandstorm. It is so close towards the top between all of these teams that at the end, these top 5 teams can be completely different in the next 3 matches today.
Yeah, I mean, if you look towards the second page of the leaderboard, Besiktas, LGD still definitely have a chance in making it towards the top 5. And again, it's just the one team that they can actually compete with, because when you look at 4th place, there's a 30+ point difference between them, or around 27 to 30 point difference. So it's going to require them to have a performance this game and then get another big performance in the next game, which of course is going to be very unlikely for a lot of these teams. But for Nigma, for Aegon IA, and for mostly for these two, definitely 100%. Unless we're seeing triple chicken dinners from one of these teams, I don't think they're going to make it, and it's pretty sure that they're not going to be in the top 5 for now.
I'm sure, Max, you saw something there that's kind of scary for the sake of your eyebrows. Bigatron. Not looking good here. I mean, as you're just talking, Sandstorm, about needing to have 2 or 3 chicken dinners in a row, Bigatron need at least 1, I would say, for them to be in the running. They're starting to fall by the wayside here, and it seems like Alpha 7, IHC, DRS, Titan, they're looking to lock in their position even further. I mean, if you're Alpha 7, you should know in the back of your mind, 1 more win, and we're through.
Yeah.
1 more really good game, we're through. And they can almost taste PMGC. What does it taste like? I don't know. But they can taste it.
Probably like a really good ice cream. I don't know. I'm just trying to imagine.
A really tasty chicken.
Oh. That too. I don't know. We're going in a weird direction right now, Jason. Save us. Save us.
I mean, I understand, Maxman, ice cream is your favorite treat. But, you know, it's my treat. Seeing you guys' teams to watch. Let's take a look at what you both did. Select, Inko, Titan, LGD. Okay. Inko, IHC, and Bacon Time. Okay, so let's go with the LGD pick first of all here, Maxman. You did say earlier on you wouldn't pick them. I picked them for you, and then now you're picking them. So I don't know what to believe anymore.
It's not been working out. I didn't pick them. They're not able to perform, and I agree, especially with what Blank was bringing up during that game, which is sometimes they can look like one of the best teams in this PMGC period, and sometimes it just seems like they're entirely out of the conversation. And it feels like that's what we're seeing from them right now. We had that glimmer of hope from them yesterday, and now there's just nothing to show for it. And unfortunately, it seems like the further we go into these games, the more desperate it feels like they're trying to play. And it's just a desperate play style is not working for LGD. It's not working for BTR. We need to see a change of pace. And if it doesn't happen, I think it might just be too late right now.
Okay, well, speaking of too late, Bacon Time, is it too late for them, Sandstorm?
I would say this game would be their last opportunity. They need to get 15 points plus in this game in order to have a chance in the last 2 matches. If they don't, I think they're going to be out. When we're looking at IHC, they started off day 1 pretty strong. They had their first game with a second place, 10 elims. You look at their last game as well, second place, 9 elims. But other than that, it's just been a performance that's all over the place. And we're not seeing anything good from IHC throughout the first 3 games of today, and something definitely needs to change. For Inko, long story short, you guys started off strong. You even qualified through the strongest group in Group Green with a difference of 2 points, and now they're barely holding on to staying in that top 5 spot. So they need to kind of adapt a little bit, and we're going on the Wrangle, one of their strongest maps, so I'm hoping for a good performance from them.
All right, well, it's time to head into our next match of the day here with John and Blink once again to kick us back into Erangel.
I said, Blank, that after this game, after that Sandhawk, I was going to start to look at teams being counted out of the top 5. For now, Nikke Galaxy for me, bottom of the table. Oh, whoa! Something in my throat. But 32 points at the bottom of the table. I have no idea, Blank. Maybe it was... I'm not even gonna. Maybe it was Nikke Galaxy choking. But they are not going to be really within striking range of the top 5.
No, I wouldn't say so anymore. I mean, Nikke Galaxy, 16th place, 32 points. It is going to be extremely difficult for this team in the next few games to actually get up towards that top side. You're looking at back-to-back chicken dinners now, possible, but very unlikely to happen. Zuxi coming out, Luxi back in again for the team. We saw this guy do some amazing work towards the start of the survival stage, really putting the team on his back a lot of times. We'll see exactly how this works out. I think there was just a bit of miscommunication, and I will maybe put this down to the fact that, you know, they've had so many sub-ins and sub-outs at the moment. Not being able to have that consistent roster is hampering them a little bit, because they seem to have different ideas of what they want to do at moments in the game. I mean, Liquid wanting to push that, Zuxi hanging back for the res. I mean, you either do one of the two, and I think the result is the same, that they win that fight. If they both hung back, went for the res and had one player hold off behind one of the vehicles or a bit of cover, play an off angle, they win that fight. If they both push together, they get the refrag, they win that fight. But the fact that one went forward, gave them the 1v1, and then one sat back and then just res, which means they're in a static position, you lose that fight 10 times out of 10. I think that is just a complete misplay on BTR's half. So I think that they need to figure out this roster they want to play over the rest of the day. I don't want to see any more subs come through, because this is now really the final chance for BTR. Currently sat quite far down the lobby with 13th place, 55 points. There's certainly a chance for them, but requires these chicken dinners. And remember, they've been given a fair few chances for them. On Sandknock, they had a fantastic compound. On Erangel, they've had some fantastic compounds, but unable to convert that into a big win is worrying.
HVVP forced to go for their backup drop again today in match number 10. 3 games left to play, including this one. Not ideal, but at this point, it might as well be their main drop, Blank. I feel like they've actually dropped here more over the course of this last chance tournament than they have actually been able to manage to get to North George. It's kind of crazy, the amount of South Plane Path cuts we've seen.
Yeah, for HVP, I think they're more now prioritizing getting that loot on board early. It's pretty easy rotation for them. DRS like to leave that position up towards their northwest side quite quickly to get towards an edge side of the circle, so they can start playing inwards. DRS at this point in time, it's going to be very hard for any of these teams to actually get above them or at least overtake them in this top 5 position, just because the way that they're currently earning points is very consistent. They're rolling over those numbers every single match. Even when it seems very unlikely for that to happen, they're still grabbing those points. Remember to follow us on our social channels as well, guys, because we'll keep you up to date with anything that's coming through in the future, including certain rewards, any kind of crates that might be releasing, even our new and additional packages that we're adding to the game, and also when and where we'll be seeing that PMGC take place.
LGD, oh dear. YZ hot dropping near a vehicle. Fortunately, Besiktas do not want to challenge this. LGD and Besiktas seem to be fighting quite a lot, quite early, in quite a few... it's back. Goodness me. In quite a few of the games.
What are you doing? Somewhat problematic going on there for you. I think you're just getting maybe choked up about these final games. You know, it's very emotional. I realise that, John. 100%. Some of our favourite teams might be going home here, but similarly, some of our favourite teams might be going through. So we can be jubilant as well as sad at the same time. It's absolutely fine. I'm not sure how we'd pull that off. You know, we'll have one side of our face in a frown, one side in a smile, pull off the full two-face action.
I was just trying to sort myself out there. Western side on the circle. Going to open up those rotational paths, those routes. Past Potato Hill, probably going to be quite hotly contested. Seen a couple of teams vie for position there. Reject still dropping down towards Rozok. Going for quite a long drop. Might actually be able to stretch out towards Sunken. Down one, playing in the apartment, in the apartments. Just trying to get as looted as possible. No one too close by. They won't be super worried at this time. Besiktas, though, sharing Yasnaya with Bigatron.
This is one of the few circles we've actually seen head over towards this western side so heavily before. Gatka open now, so a lot of teams coming through from the eastern side. Now, A7 are most likely going to be suffering the most because of this. They're right at the back of the queue. This is no longer a case of sitting pretty and making their way through slowly but surely towards the circle. I think there's definitely an opportunity for them to move up towards that northern side, but with LGD currently holding here, as well as Besiktas and BTR, that's going to be another tight rotation for them to make. It's going to be difficult to squeeze through without feeling some of the nasty bristles coming through from BTR, LGD, and Besiktas through that location. Although they have made similar rotations before and been quite successful with it. In the meantime, HVP this might be a slightly more difficult rotation for them. I mean, I know I said the DRS like to move away from that position on the Western Bridge quite early, but this gives them the chance to stick around here for maybe a little bit longer, though with the way the circle's been panning out here, with a central play from a lot of these teams, you'd expect DRS to maybe head up, pick one of these nice compounds early on, just purely with the amount of useless compounds in this area and the amount of high priority compounds in this area. DRS. Currently still moving upwards. Aegon down towards Sosnovka. IHC in Novo. Bacon time. Also in Milter Power at the moment. So honestly, still feeling pretty good about them. I mean, they can move through, reject up towards Rozhok side. And Nikke HOK in Pachinki. A very typical position for them. A great spot for them to kind of ladder out on this game, try and climb up those rankings just a little bit. Considering they are so far down, though, we did say this is kind of a point in time where we feel like that is them just confirmed knocked out. Again, it would require a 30-point game to sit them steady with 10th place. But remember, that is profit they need to find on top of those matches as well, because most likely 10th, 9th, 8th, 7th, all going to find some more points this game to try and see themselves upwards. Inco, for the first time in a long time, now knocked out from top 5.
It's not ideal either at such a late juncture. 9 points behind that bubble. They will have to try and keep plodding along, but there are teams at their heels who are going to try and snap out that Achilles and make that a whole lot harder in the games to come. Drawing really, really close to the end here. Only a quarter of these games left to play. Down one, still playing a little bit split here. 3-1 right now with Inco on their south side.
Inco, like we said before, very central spot. Down one, close by, like you say. Picked up a position on the map that they could find fairly easily. And just moved directly to it. This time they're not thwarted by any of the teams that have already picked out that compound for them. So again, we don't get that flustering, we don't get that panic come through from Inco, which kind of spelt their doom on that last match. In the meantime, Alpha 7 do make that rotate that we were mentioning before, up towards Severny side over the top of Yasnaya. It was a tight rotation, but they nail it there, get right through that hoop despite the flames on all sides.
Keep themselves nice and warm in the process, hopefully. Even if they don't get burned, that's what they're hoping anyway. Vampire, ooh, Novello denied it by a cheeky little slow roll on. By Vampire around the side, LGD caught out by Mythic. Will be shot at as well. MVM going to go down and LGD lose a player. The first to fall, and Mythic picks up first blood for Alpha 7.
Straight towards the position. This is what Alpha 7 wanted to do today, and they're executing on it very well. I mean, not necessarily always getting all the points or getting all the success from it, but what you can respect from a team is finding certain amount of success from something that they wanted to do. I mean, they mentioned they wanted to be more aggressive in taking positioning around the map. That's 100% what they've aimed to do, and they've found those spots, and it has resulted in wins. It's resulted in a lot of points as well. Piso spots Revo towards that blue side. If he gets knocked out here, very unlikely they'll be brought back in towards the fold. Has to hit the first aid kit. The blue's not doing a chunk of damage at the moment. Can just bandage that one back up, get the stims and get moving, but that will slow down the guys from A7, but they've got something to say about this.
People are looking at this rotation and thinking, hang on a minute, Alpha 7 did really well by rotating over the north of the lake, so let's all do it. 4 teams have moved through that area. It hasn't been great for any of them, really. Bigatron probably ahead of the curve on it, and will be able to get ahead. But they're most likely going to have to push south of the river. They see that. They're moving into Rozhok North. Oh, dear.
Wow, okay, yeah. So second circle finally hits here. Inco will have to move for a bunch of teams. Pachinki at a little bit of a sore spot in the circle. The move around that means that a lot of these rotations will have to go through similar areas or towards that northern side or down towards the south. You're really going to be seeing a lot of traffic jams coming through. Besiktas still on their rotate downwards. Now Alpha 7 left out in the cold as they've got a long, long way to go on this one. Chung Si still in the back for LGD up towards Severny. Trying to regroup with the rest of his team in YZZ as well as Suki. struggling to find similar performance we've seen them before towards the top of the tables. Again, now looking back down towards the circle itself. Game Lord, I8, DRS, all in central spots. HVP just now making their move through, and a huge chunk of this ground split off by Quarry as well as the fielded area down towards that south side. It will be difficult to play this circle. A lot of open space. You're more than likely going to see a lot of teams struggling towards that end game in positions that we'd never want to see you in, which is laid down on the floor in the middle of a field, maybe behind a hay bale, which is your only hope in hell at making it through the game.
Would be far from ideal. Baker time on the east side. 12th position even after that chicken dinner.
As if.
It's unfortunate. Hey, Blank. Guess where Inco are?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is that it's so surprising to me that they've been able to find this rotate, and it's not been challenged whatsoever. I think that this is.
At this point, it can't be luck, right?
I mean, it's not luck, no, but this is the type of thing. Well, they're lucky in a way that no one's taken this at this point in time. So many teams had a lot of available time to get in towards this position. Yes, it's not the best compound, and I think they've realized that, which is why, you know, there's a more priority compound down towards the south side, which VPE have. So they take the leftover, essentially. But there should be other teams taking this spot. They're already much further towards the circle than them. I mean, they were up towards school side about 3 minutes ago, and now they make their way down. No one takes shots at them to get into this spot. This is not something that they'll get away with if they head towards the PMGC Grand Finals. This position should be taken up by that point in time, and crashing onto it, they will require a fight to get in. I don't think we've seen many times Inco have to take any kind of crashes, any kind of engagements for their compounds, and when they do, it really does not work out well for them.
This hillside that's in the middle, surrounded by fields, is only going to compound the issue of it being a central lobby, right? All of these teams focus generally on getting quite central, and the fact that there's essentially a ring of difficult to play terrain around the center is just going to make things a little bit faster. A knockover towards the forward point from HVVP, who are still wildly split, is going to force a fast response from Kitsune.
Heading back up towards that high ground, I mean, it's not a bad spot whatsoever. And now with this high ground to play around with on top of Quarry, they can look down to a lot of these teams that may be out in the open, providing some good sightlines their way. Game Lord, again, also on a really nice compound towards the roadside. And we're moving further away from that nasty bit of fielded area down towards the southeast, which makes things a lot easier for these teams. It's going to be a bit more tactical, a lot more compound play. So you're going to be looking at some of these good shots. Some really nice precision DMR play as well to hit the helmets off, reduce the supply count for a lot of these teams, which most likely won't be moving from a lot of these spots. And Inco directly in the center. You wonder if VP are going to try and move down or maybe take some shots towards their position, because they are deadly neighbors to have, because they're not likely to help you in an engagement once it pops off, but they're certainly happy to wander on up and pick up the pieces in the aftermath.
LGD, northern side. Lost a little bit of momentum early to an early pick. But they're still on 3. And they've got some buildings, which is more than could be said for quite a few of these players. HVVP getting back together, getting Tixie back to his feet and redistributing. Really, really watching out on their back in the meantime. LGD taking shots. Chunksy will be knelt as Mythic takes shots over to LGD's compounds on the north side of the next circle. This is their backstop area. Now for 7, looking to sweep in on this northwestern edge.
I think Meku has to be very careful now, currently holding on a compound on that western side. Not the most amazing spot for HVP down towards Quarry, but the high ground is nice for the time being. Nades coming through from BTR over towards LGD. We said that this team had to have a good performance here. YZ, bit of a clutch maestro, looking to take it to him.
We'll be able to find one, but the next knock is just too much to bear. Both of the players here down, and now it's just the forward outpost Suki for the squad. Bigatron moving in and backfilling on LGD, picking up those pieces. But Mafioso's sending out wide. Will have heard these gunshots. They're thinking about how they can capitalize. So they move ahead. Do they try and third party? What are they going to do?
There's a good chance here for taking up Suki's position, and BTR being able to catch them on their rotate would be really nice. I mean, Cadillo's already looking for one of those knocks which they can aggressively push on top of. You can see which compounds he's scouting to. Tixie gets a shot down towards Regiosio, who moves out very wide here. More than likely will not be able to be picked back up again by the reject squad, which allows perhaps a future rotation from HVP up towards that northern side to gain a little bit more space, maybe just be a bit more towards the central side of the lobby.
This is an uncomfortable rotation from Bacon Time. Trying to move their way in through about 4 or 5 different teams. Look at that. How have they managed to get through? I was going to say unscathed, but Noise does get knocked out in the open. Vampire pick that one up. The hillsides on the southwest stay in. The circle does shrink. HVVP on 4 players. 2 players from Reject down the hill from them. Reject, 4 players alive, sure, but you can't turn that slowly in front of Kitsune. You will be able to line those shots up. The players on your left, though, Kitsune, you need to be worried about. Has to reposition, wants to either get the flush now or look to regroup with the rest of the HVVP squad who are looking to move forwards. They want to crunch in on the position.
A7's coming down now as well to get joined in on this engagement outside in the blue, or outside the circle. And now HVVP's being very cautious about any of these third parties. Regroup with Meku is very good that they held him in that position for a long time, allowed them to have that anchor point to come through to. Suki is put down immediately, and LGD's hopes to get towards that grand finals getting ever slimmer as we go through. 2 more games now. We'd have to have a killer LGD performance to get towards that top side. Titans also taking shots there. I think that's from one of the remaining members up towards that hillside, down towards the south.
Shots, Bigatron taking on Alpha 7, the top dogs in the lobby. A good test for them, surely, but not one they want to take at the moment. However, they might not have much choice. They are swinging in. They're fully committed now. Luxy caught out there, but Mythic's position known. They can start to put nades in on this forward position. You can see Liquid and Misery immediately pushing through. Gen Foster on the off angle to catch those rotates out, but could go down and could be disastrous. Carrillo lights them up, looks for 2, and he stays alive. Carrillo Forte yet again staying in the mix of it and clutching it out for Alpha 7 on a crucial part of the push. Turns around and Mythic helps him out there. Gem Foster dealt with. Bigatron find out all about it. Why are Alpha 7 at the top? This is why, but Luxy might just have one last throw of it. One last pitch towards the backlines. Carrillo has the nade though, and there's the shutdown. Besiktas third party.
It might be just over now for BTR. 57 points, 2 more matches. The current performance as well. I mean, you can almost expect LGD to start flying out of control towards the end of the day. But for BTR, we have not seen that similar kind of jump up in performance throughout the day. Nikke Galaxy almost looking to end their run now. It's looking very bad for them.
Oh dear, just the one left standing now. And at the bottom of the tables, 2 eliminations on the game. 34 points if they fall at this stage. Aegon XA pushing into their compound. IHC on the far side. Lord picking in the middle and will fall last. That is Nikke Galaxy out of this game and most likely the tournament.
I think at this point in time, we could practically say that Nikke Galaxy will not be making it through to the grand finals. They have been getting to each and individual stage by a hair's breadth as well. I mean, it's a congratulation they get this far, but I do think that at some point it did have to come all crushing down around them, purely just with the gameplay we've seen from them out this entire time. Kitsune Matic still far away from the team, looking up towards Alpha 7 a reject spot. I mean, it would still be a 2-2. I think that at the moment, HVP are really trying to clear this western side as best as possible.
And with Alpha 7 on 2, with Reject a little bit diminished as well on 3. Probably really quite reasonable. Besiktas have the third-party angle, and if they can clear this area, that's really, really solid for this next circle shift.
It would be gorgeous for them. They still have to deal with Alpha 7, and they never go down easy here. But finally, 1 player is removed, just Mythic remaining. HVP do not want to lose another player in this instance. Going down to 3 would really diminish the amount of power that they can bring towards the end game of this circle. With so many teams coming from the east and high ground they can control, this could be a really good game for them. IHC out in 5th place, at risk of being overtaken by HVP now with the strong position they hold on the eastern side, western side of the circle.
Really not ideal, but you've got Inko, Game Lord, Besiktas, Reject, all also looking to leapfrog you. So not only could HVVP do so, but the rest of the lobby as well. Difficult to hold on to, sure. We'll have to see just how far HVVP can go on their strike. Dixie moves forwards. Will have seen Mythic going on in, but Mythic has a nade of his own, puts it right on the target, just about sidestepped by Tixie, opens the door, he's out the front, and there's the light up. You're not going to survive there. Not on a wide peak, not when you've got shots coming in from the high ground as well. Tixie shuts down Mythic and Alpha 7.
Really good response there from them. Now they can start to focus up towards Reject spot. Perhaps even Besiktas, who are trying to move down from that northern side and clear out this space. Down one. Felt like they could go further, but they have slipped and slipped and slipped. Down towards 14th place now, 54 points.
It's a team in their prime as well, Blank. They have had really solid results over the course of this year. They have been just increasing in pace, but might draw short at this final juncture. Down one though, still taking the fight against Game Lord. 4 of them alive. Narvalo swinging around wide as they move up towards Aegon XA8. Losing Robs early though, and in the blue zone as it closes means that you're not going to get him back up. Narvalo knocks down as well. Game Lord getting slowed up. 8th position. They're 65 points to Elims. Blank, this is a team that is competing right now, and they're in a fight with 2 others. Aegon XA8, they're further out into the blue, but Titans are ahead of them, and they're taking the shots, landing them where they need to. Akashi, last standing for Game Lord.
Akashi has to make this happen. The Akashi assassin, as we used to call him, surviving so long into these games, picking up individual eliminations where they could, but honestly, I think for Game Lord, there's been a strange occurrence of events at the moment where the play has just not remained as high as it used to be. They certainly were better than this in the past. I don't think it's a case of the lobby getting better. I just think Game Lord has gotten worse over time. It's sad to see, considering how cool of a team they were. They still have a chance, though. 67 points at the end of this game. 2 more matches to play. Aegon XA up towards that top side. 7 eliminations so far. 3 players up. 1 needs rezzing. This could be a big game for them. They certainly need it.
Towards the bottom of the tables. I mean, we saw them launch themselves up, but the target was 16th place there, not 5th. Gaps that they would need to close. Grand Canyon to be jealous.
Inco moving immediately. So see this circle change pace. No one's taking shots at them either. They just vacate. Ghostly there. No one even assumes what's happening. VPE could have taken shots, but they don't. They move up towards that crate. I think there are shots coming through now from them. HVP locked in combat between Reject, Besiktas on this western side. They control a lot of space. It's an incredible ridge side for them to play from, but there being so many teams on this edge, it is difficult. Inco suffers some damage.
HVVP and Besiktas have been staring down Reject for so long in the tower. Inco moving up on the far side, protected from HVVP, but not from Besiktas or Reject. The car, the only thing keeping them safe from teams across the way. And Nanibete spotted yet again. Aegon XA8, they leave 1 player forwards, and the rest are left to deal with Titan down the hill. 2 players alive. Ghost lights up 1, and it's traded off by Teak. Blade low behind the tree, does manage to get a heal off. Stands up and takes care of Titan.
Very difficult to get Ghost back on his feet, but for I8, 9 eliminations is good so far. Titans out 3rd place, at risk of being leapfrogged by a couple of teams underneath them. Inco so far down to 2 members. Squash being removed, but only 2 eliminations. Sure, they've got some central positions, but haven't done too much of it. Besiktas stands up. Good shots come back from Becker, but now just Vitali.
That's the numbers coming into play. Vitali. You say just Vitali on a tear through the ranks of Besiktas, who are somehow struggling here. And Ravenclaw finally might be able to get a cheeky little angle, but worried about off angles. Dizzies himself a little bit, takes shots over a different way. Nade from Stoned over towards Aegon XA8. IQ taken down on the forefront. 5 eliminations for Vampire now in 4th place on the tables. 4 out of the 5 top 5 teams have been eliminated at this stage, Blank. So again, it is that chase on up. With Inco falling, Besiktas, HVVP, the big chasers here.
I mean, Besiktas, 10 eliminations so far. It's been a great game from them, but they've taken a couple of knocks. They have to restabilize now. Aegon XA8 down in 6th place, 9 eliminations. That's good enough for now. But again, a really big run required for Aegon XA8, a big sprint. We've seen it before. I don't want to jinx them because I feel like it could happen again. given the opportunity, VPE moves up. HVP been very, very patient with this game, allowing Besiktas to take most of the damage, but also most of the eliminations. At this point, well, there is a chance where these two teams, Besiktas and HVP, are competing for similar spots within the tables.
Reject have been holding in this tower for so long, and finally it's coming to bear. Alive into the top 5, but Vampire down to 2 as Reiji continues to light things up. A nade over the top from Kitsune as well as they fight behind the tower with Besiktas. The next circle about to pop as well, and will dictate quite a lot of the pace of this next phase.
Ooh, right over the top, directly on target,
Oh.
a little bit close, but gets one of them, sends another over the top. Schweppes is trying to eliminate that final player, moves up and round, but exposed by a lot of teams. The nades aren't going far enough, but 2 left remaining. Sends this one a little bit higher. Where does it bounce? Much further towards them. 2 down, now just 1 out. Has to move into the sightlines of Sung.
Damn one, staying alive at the top 5, racking up points, but they're being pinched away by teams across the road. The circle shrinks away from the teams up the top though, and everybody's going to have to move. Sung will have to push forwards as well. Who's going to get there first? Besiktas go down the mountain. They are now in the position where they took down the players earlier from Inco, and will play behind the car that they burnt out before. HVVP trying to move around them as well, as Sung finally falls to a nade answer from Vampire, but they're on 2 in the field.
It's a smart decision from Besiktas because they're going to try and get the resupply from the members of Inco that went down. Getting nades at this stage of the game is extremely important, and Inco was nowhere near anyone close enough to actually send their nades through. And with being in the buildings for a while and not using much utility, that could be really big for Besiktas. Although they have kind of put themselves in an awkward spot within the circle. HVP currently in, Besiktas still have to go further. VPE, again, a good performance, looking to secure their position towards the top side of the tables and get into that grand final. A really good sprint from them today.
A massive resupply as well coming through for Schwett. A full, fresh level 3 and an AUG as well on the back. A really powerful set. Reiji goes down to Besiktas, who are on 11 eliminations right now, Blank. Meku tries to get past the sightlines of the scope and somehow staying alive. Matic gets the challenge, stays alive as well. And now HVVP have a little bit of high ground to play with. For the first time, Reject are not a factor now, and Besiktas need to be worried. Vampire out the open, they've weathered so much here, and all of these teams are competing for top 5 spots now, Blank. They've done so much, and we're probably going to see all 3 of them in the top 5. The question is, in what order?
Incredibly surprisingly good spot here for VPE. Vampire playing from the fielded side. The hay bale, I mentioned it earlier. A hope in hell and a hay bale to work with. You might just need to pull out the pitchfork and start shoveling away to get a little bit of a ditch inside of this side of the circle. Hunker down, play from there. Besiktas currently doing exactly that, and Tixi just looking for these shots over towards VPE. If they can open up onto a knock, their life becomes so much easier. Matic is going to send wide, see if he can find himself a better position. Tries to bait out these shots to allow Tixi to hit them.
They know there's a player behind this crate. They've been scouting this out for a long time. Once those positions are zeroed in, the power diminishes greatly, because Meku is going to absolutely know where vampires sit right now. Matic is, as you say, baiting out the shots, launches Tixi into the sky. You've got to be careful with that. You do not want to be shut down, because these players can hit shots like that. They are nutty.
Besiktas slowly crawling through. They realize they need a big game here, and 11 eliminations so far. If they can clean this out with a chicken dinner too, Besiktas sat in an incredibly strong spot. A lot of our big teams finally putting their names on the leaderboards, pinning it in there towards the grand finals. Right at the end, it's a little bit dicey. This is the time you want to step up. You can start jumping above a lot of these teams that just have fell off, aren't able to keep the gas burning in the tank.
The surprise entry here for me is Besiktas. To be honest, this is a team that I had fairly closely discounted, especially given their performance in the regionals. Getting in here to the last chance. Did not expect to be them in the conversation for the top 5 spots and a qualification to the grand finals in Jakarta. But here they are, fighting and fighting hard. They're on a hefty elimination count, and the shots start to come through. This fight between Besiktas and HVVP, that has to come through, and Zessi goes down first. There is a nade being cooked though, and they need to fade off, and Enjoy lights them up. 2 players fall, and HVVP might be drawn short here, but Meku can drop these smokes. Can Peace get the nades on, or can Schweppes light it up as well? Kitsune behind the buggy. The burn is there, and HVVP struggling. Should be able to get 1 res. Tixie crawling forwards in the meantime behind cover of smoke. The res goes
So
through
close.
just on the edge. Kitsune steps up for 1 more res as well. Can they get back to full force? No, they can't, but they still have 3. More than anyone else in the lobby, but Meku gets taken down by Stone, and the shots are not there to answer. They're covered off with the smokes from Besiktas. Enjoy spotted, but Matic gets the knock. Looks for the flush as well, picks up the point. We'll be able to find it. Who's getting it? But Stone is spotted as well out in the open, and HVVP are striking hard. Peace there behind the vehicle. They know where he is, but 2 players active for HVVP. Peace tries to hold it on Outblank.
8 eliminations, Stoned. Schweppes finish off the final player from Besiktas, only find themselves a 3rd place. Unlikely he's going to make it through, but HVP have done an astonishingly good job with the smokes. The cloud has kept them safe for so long, and that will take them to greater heights there, towards the sky, and in the top of the leaderboard. What a good job from HVP. A really tough spot to play from, with so many teams around them, making it difficult. I think for Vampire, they had a chokehold over that lobby for a long time, but it's definitely those smokes coming out from HVP. Not only did they deny the sightlines from Vampire Esports, they set themselves up on the right side of the ridge. They control that side of the ridge for so long as well, just in case they have to play out this end game, which allows them to take shots towards Besiktas, hide back, get those reses right at the end. It's very, very well done, and hugely intellectual. I really like that end game from them.
What a way to close it down as well. And this is why we were still expecting to see Vampire and HVVP compete for these top 5 spots. They finished yesterday at the bottom of the tables, Blank, but here they are, vying for the top.
It's just some very purposeful gameplay coming through from both these teams to allow them to get this far into the match. The fact that Vampire takes a pretty horrible spot over there, but sees those loot crates, that is what is the big game changer for them. And I mean, it's making the best out of a bad situation, and that's what HVP and Vampire have done today to get towards the top.
HVVP, another chicken dinner to add to their tally, and another 25 points to boot. A massive game for this team, who still has yet to be secured into an organization, though after this maybe they'll be able to get one for the finals of PMGC, because that's the track they're currently on here to make. Gentlemen, a fantastic game. The field finish was very interesting, I think we should say, as Vampire unfortunately were being shot from basically, it felt like every angle by every team. But we even see Vampire getting 21 points, Besiktas 22, even Aegon I8 Esports with 13. This has to shift up the standings quite a bit.
It really has. And Vampire, like, they got himself right now a chicken dinner with 12 elims. A second place was 13 elims in the previous 2 games. And now they got himself another second place with double-digit eliminations coming their way. I don't know what change happened between yesterday and today, but I'm loving it. And it seems like when they just get into that late game position, they still have 4 players alive. They just overwhelm the lobby at some point in time, unless you have Sung, which it's a field finish. Yeah, going to have a snake. It's going to be an issue, of course. But if Sung is not there, chances are with those 4 players, they get the chicken dinner. So I'm loving this new Vampire. They're looking so streaky today.
All right, well, we're going to head to a short break while we kind of wrap our heads around what just happened. But when we come back, we're going to finish breaking down this last match here and get you ready to go for our penultimate match of the last chance stage.